Hi. Hi, everybody out there in the COS universe. Hope you all are doing fantastic on this lovely Sunday afternoon. My name is Jinx Cosplay, and I am one of the hosts of COS Talk Live. COS Talk Live, again, is our show that we run a couple different episodes several times a month with different topics. And my show, and I know this is still a very new concept for everybody, my show is called Jinx Unstitched. I usually will be streaming once a month, so the first Sunday of every month. I know this is the last Sunday, but we're now changing it to the first Sunday, where I'll cover a bunch of different topics and have guests on my show. So today's guest is Arizona cosplayer PrueDuctions on the side. So Prue, I would love for you to give us a little bit of an introduction. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in cosplay, and what you specialize in, and what you're known for. So go ahead and
Of course.
take it
So
away.
I've been a cosplayer. Oh, sorry. Delay.
Okay. No, we're good. We're good. Yes.
So
Go ahead.
I've been a cosplayer for about 10 years. I specifically learned to sew after I went to my very first Comic-Con, where I just wore an outfit that I got from the thrift store. So I was like, well, I have a year. I need to learn how to sew because I want to compete. I have specifically learned it for this hobby, and I never looked back. And I used to only do it for Phoenix Comic Con. I would do it once a year, and then that wasn't enough for me. So then I started traveling to multiple states. And while I do love sewing for just myself and normal clothes, I definitely started out in looks of competition first.
All right. I think we have a little bit of a delay. I know I'm
Oh
looking.
no.
Maybe it's me. Viewers, if you're out there, let us know what you're seeing. It might just be me. It looks like it is, because you look fine.
Okay.
So you can hear me just fine, though, Prue?
Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, there's just little glitches,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
not too bad. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, now it's definitely glitchy.
I don't know what's going on with my why. But anyway, so what I'd love, hold on everybody. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my internet right now.
Oh no.
I'm good. Um am I getting just
It's just getting worse and worse.
I think it's stable now. Maybe. All right. Sorry everybody. Is it getting worse? Oh my
it's
goodness. Hold on. Let
it's
me
it's a little on
figure
and
something.
off. I hope y'all can hear me. I'll just talk to myself, as one does. Hmm.
Yes.
Well,
Go
oh,
ahead and talk about your, yeah, go ahead.
so while she figures that out, hopefully you can hear me. But how about I talk about my current outfit? So I made this as a mashup. Definitely think that a lot of people know me for my mashups. A mashup cosplay is when you take a character that's usually a little more well known with like a genre or a different character and combine them in term. And the way I always view it is I pick a character I like and I put it in a different world. So this character is actually Drizella Tremaine from the Cinderella stories. So you see all the coloring, but the costume itself is if it were in the Bridgerton show as a Featherington sister. So that's just one way that I like to be a little more original with some of the stuff I make is I plop a character out of one story and into the world of another, and that's how I like doing different designs that way.
I think my connection's looking better. Am I looking better?
Yes! Yay!
Okay, all right. Unfortunately, I had to close all my other windows. So sorry, viewers. I will get better at this. So thank you, Prue, for taking that over. I know you love to do mashups. A couple of other mashups that you've done. Let's throw them out there. What are a couple other ones that you've done that you love?
Well, most recently, I competed in a mashup group of at Wondercon last month. We did a mashup of Cinderella. If you couldn't tell, I love Cinderella. Uh, so we did Cinderella, the fairy godmother, the Grand Duke, and the Prince, and put them in the world of Lord of the Rings. So we had them mashed up with different hobbits, and then the fairy godmother was a mashup with Gandalf. And again, we took the coloring of the characters and put them in the style of the world that we plopped them into. So that one was a fun one because we got to compete in that and made up a whole skit and everything. Bridgerton's also a big fan of mine. I've done a lot of Disney princesses as Bridgerton characters. Yay, Netflix. Um, so yeah, that one was really fun to do recently. The year before that at WonderCon, we did Disney villains as Rococo historical characters.
I'm
Is she back?
so
Maybe. Ah, do we have a Jessica?
okay. I hate to do this to you, Prue. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can.
Are you there now? Yeah.
You're not moving, but I can hear you.
Okay. I hate to do this to you. I think we might need to reschedule, and I hate to do this. I never want to be wired in and everything.
Do you want to do next Sunday so that it's the first Sunday?
Let's do this. Yeah, let's do that. And I want to give you some time to be able to share it out. So if anybody is watching, so sorry. Every time I try to open a window on my desktop, I haven't used my desktop in so long. Every time I try to open something to share it, it just goes nuts. Because as you can see now, my connection's fine, right? I have literally nothing open but the show browser. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. I do not want to have to do this, but I want to be able to share stuff as you talk. And, you know, I guess let's just talk a little bit without me sharing so that we can at least get some time on. And then we can do like a whole show next week if that's cool. Does that sound good? Maybe for like a 30-minute show, we'll just kind of chat a little bit.
Yeah, I'm free next Sunday.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So if you're just joining us, you know, unfortunately I can't share any pictures, can't share any video, and I want to be able to highlight all of Prue's awesome skills. So we'll talk a little bit more about, I know that you really love to do cosplay contest choreography.
Yes.
The first time I worked with you was for a contest, which we will share that next time, but talk to me about where your background in choreography comes from first.
Sure. So I actually have a theater degree from Arizona State University. And when I was there, I wanted to focus on directing. And so even though, like you said, it's more of a choreography for cosplay, I never really, like, we do some dancing, but mine are not really a lot of dancing. It is more of like directing wise. So I have that theater background and I use that more towards the skits that I do, even if there is dancing. I have a lot of background in crowd psychology in learning that directing standpoint. So I always try to use that knowledge in making sure the crowd enjoys that what we're doing. And I'm always down to give people tips on that because a lot of people don't realize like one of the easiest things for a powerful character is to move left on stage instead of moving right, which seems so crazy. But if you're a powerful character and you go against the opposite way that people standardly read, it makes you seem even more powerful. Yeah. So I always do little stuff like that to help build the character, even if the crowd doesn't realize why they feel the way they do.
Wow, that's fascinating. So what was the first? What was the first contest entry that you choreographed and directed yourself? That included other people. Let's say that.
Okay, because I'm like, well, I did stuff myself. Let's see. I think my first big group one was the first time we went to WonderCon, we did the Sanderson sisters. So we tried to basically recreate the actual movie skit of I Put a Spell on You. And so that one was mostly recreation and trying to fulfill that. But one little twist that I put on it, besides like, be the character, is we added ribbon dancing ribbons. So we wanted to add that as like a big surprise at the end because that's not in the movie. But we're
Right.
like, we have this whole big stage to fill. We don't have like a band behind us or decor or anything. So one little ad I had was the ribbon things for our like grand finale to like fill more of the stage. Cause you little people, big stage, and
Yeah.
those give you some height. And so that added magic, and we did it with a say it divide, up a baby, up and die. We're like, that's not English. Let's add some ribbons. So that was like a little fun thing we added.
And what was the outcome? Was that 2000 and what year was that?
I want to say that was 2018.
Okay. And what
It
was
was
the
either
outcome?
we won most humorous
Okay.
and audience favorite for that
Oh,
one.
nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of known for winning the most humorous every year, I think, since then, right? Like
Every
2018.
year except one. And
One.
that one was one time I was trying to be funny. We won Judge's Choice. And I'm like,
Oh,
this is the only time I was trying to be funny. And I'm like, okay, so
wow.
is
And
it?
so what was that skit?
That was we did an Alice in Wonderland skit with
Mm,
Alice, the Queen of Hearts, and we had the White Rabbit and the King.
right. And that was when you had your whole like skirt like unwrap, right? I remember that one
Exactly.
because you did
Yeah,
that one
so
at
it
Phoenix
does
Fan
the
Fusion.
army. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So you were not trying to wait, you were trying to get humorous, but you
Yeah,
got Judge's Choice. Okay.
yeah.
Because I know, so the next year in 2019, I think yeah, it was 2019 because it was right before the pandemic. I joined your group, and again, we'll
Yep.
talk about this again next week because we have to we have to show these, and unfortunately, I just can't right now. But I remember I met you guys at Phoenix Fan Fusion 2019 because I was Moana, and you guys had a Disney meetup. That was the first time I ran into Cruise craziness and all that. And then Wondercon, wait, no, 2018, because Wondercon was the following year. And
Spring,
I
yeah.
joined you guys in November. Yeah. And you said, hey, what are you doing? Like, are you interested in joining for Wondercon? I'm like, heck yeah, I've never been to Wondercon. So I kind of jumped in. You already had a lot of the choreography done. And I was just like blown away. Like I have a life of performing as well. So I'm not a choreographer, but I've done acting, singing, modeling, pageants, whatever. So I'm not a stranger to it, but you had this whole thing set up and I was like, this is awesome. I feel like I'm in an actual like performance,
Production.
of an actual
Yeah.
production. So talk to me about how that started, because you can talk about, the idea and what it ended up being.
So we did the Muses from Hercules. We had the Muses and a Hercules and a Megra. And so we did a 3-song combination. This is probably one of the most ambitious ones that we've ever done. Was the one I'm like, I'm gonna get all these people that I like, and we're gonna do this thing. And we had people from out of state. So I found that the best way of making sure everyone knew what to do was we had rehearsals in my driveway. I had some very kind friends learn the choreography who weren't even in the skit, learn it so we could film it for the out of state people. And we'll be like, you have to be this person. Just do everything she does. She's doing your choreography. So very kind friends. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of film, the rehearsals. So we all had something to study, to practice, to perform on, because getting, let's see, what was it, 7 people? Getting seven
Yeah.
people to not only commit to, a 5 minute or less skit is a lot of commitment. So like you have to have really trustworthy people and people who are willing to be like, yep, we're going to gung ho, do it all right. But for when you have something that's that ambitious, you
Mhm.
definitely need people who are willing to practice, 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 practice. Because when you get up on that stage and there's a couple thousand people watching you, I always like try to tell anyone, especially new people I'm working with, like, you will forget everything that you practiced. It will completely go from your mind. I am notorious for this. So if you've practiced enough, your body is in muscle memory and it'll just autopilot and go without you. The amount of
Yeah.
times I've done like those dancing skits and I'm like, is it over? I don't remember. I blacked out. But I
Yeah.
still did it all right because muscle memory.
That was a lot of fun. I actually am not big on competing, but I'm always down to join someone else's group who has like
Groups
done
are so much
plenty.
more fun.
It was way fun. I know we had I think we had the final rehearsal at my house too. And we all got in like whatever costumes we had. And, you know, it wasn't just like the choreography, like we all pitched in to make costumes. And I remember also when we got to WonderCon, we practiced in the parking lot of the hotel.
Yep.
Do you remember that? That was hilarious. And I had so much fun. I was nervous. That was probably only my second time competing ever. And I had such a blast on stage. It was so much fun. You're right, because it just was gone in like an instant.
It was over.
And it was so impressive. I know that you made a couple different cuts because it was like so tight. Like I know people think it's only like, oh, 2 minutes, it's only 3 minutes, but it's like you have to like choreograph every single second of that and get as much as you can in the time limit because that's all they give you. So being on that stage was awesome. Again, guys, join us next week so I can share all the stuff. I will make sure that everything's fixed by then. But we like got on stage, we got set up, right? Because we had these step ladders because we were the muses, the stools. Anthony says hi from Facebook. Hi, Anthony. Thanks for joining. And we had to get set up before, you know, the lights were down and they were announcing us. And so we started on stage instead of coming on stage. And like, there was already cheers. Like we were just in there in the shadows and they were screaming. It was nuts. If you guys haven't been to WonderCon, it's very, very Disney heavy. It's like the Disney, and other than D23, it's like the Disney con of Comic Cons. So that was so much fun. I know there were a couple mess ups, but it didn't matter. It did not matter because the crowd loved it.
It made it funnier. That's why we got most humorous.
And you know, I think it created some memes after that. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, we did the selfie meme, and definitely going to share that next time. But yeah, tell me about, okay, so after that, you got most humorous. We did get passes, but then the next year after that was COVID. Yeah, so 2020 was out of the picture. And then when was the next time that you went to WonderCon?
I went 2021, and unfortunately, we still had the masquerade, but we all had to wear masks on stage.
Yeah.
So it was good the fact that no one had to really memorize their words, their lines, because we had a group of 5, and everyone was like, we'd only done video rehearsals because we had 2 people from out of state again, but we were doing dances through all our videos and stuff. And then when we got there, and they're like, we tried to get the mask lifted, and they're like, nope, you have to go on stage in a mask. Everyone else in the group was like, score, if I forget a line, no one knows. I'm like, just don't forget your steps.
Right. Oh my god. And what was that skit?
So that we did a Bridgerton Disney Princess mashup, and we did a skit to there's a unofficial Bridgerton musical, so we did a skit to one of the songs from that. Yeah, they actually won a Grammy in 2020 because, you know, no new albums came out in 2020, and they put it all on through TikTok, and they actually won a Grammy for their unofficial thing. It's a great musical. Listen to it on like Amazon Prime Video, or not video, music, but it's so fun. So we competed in that, and we're in these like, you know, Regency hand curled. We're like, we've got to get most beautiful. Like we're in silks and satins and all this, and then we got most humorous. And I'm like, my bad, guys, my bad.
Broken King, hey, you're watching us from Twitch. Thank you so much for checking us out. Yeah, I know that was your goal for a bit, was to try and get out of the most humorous. So that was 2021, and what was 2022?
So 2022, that was when we did Wonderland. So broke it there. And that was when I'm like, this one's funnier than all my other stuff, but okay, sure. Yeah. And it was so funny because a Beauty and the Beast group actually won a weird, like they also got like, they got not funny, but they were going for funny. And so like all of us backstage were like, we should just swap trophies to what we think we want.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that the same thing when we did the muses. I mean, I can see definitely why ours was humorous, but there was that other, I cannot remember who it was, but that solo entry that got most dramatic, I think, and theirs was clearly funny.
Clearly, like, and we're like, let's
jokes and stuff. Yeah, most dramatic or something, not most dramatic, but most theatrical, I think it was. Or I was like, that, yeah, we should probably just swap, but either way, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Recognition is good. So that was so you did the Alice one in 2022.
Yes. And then
Okay, and then
2023, we did Rococo Disney Villains.
okay. Yes.
Because we're like, okay, well, Rococo, that's another era we like. We didn't want to do Bridgerton again, so we're like, let's do that. And that's got like the 3/4 sleeves and the big hips and
Was
all
that
of those.
not 2024? Rococo?
No.
What was
Was
2024? Because I remember
I,
seeing that one, and
yeah.
I went in 2024 and 2025.
Okay, maybe that was 2024. Well, it was 2023 then. I'm missing
Did you
one
go?
somewhere.
Did you go in
I've got
2021
it.
or did you go in 2022?
Maybe it was 20. Maybe they didn't have one
Yeah, I don't
2021.
think they had them in 2021 because
Okay,
that
so
was the
maybe
year
that
we
was it. So I'm a year behind because it was definitely
2022.
Bridgerton, Wonderland, Rococo, and then this year was Cinderella,
Cinderella and Lord of the
Lord
Rings.
of the Rings. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that. So you did the Rococo, and what was your goal with that skit?
We wanted either best original design or most beautiful because again, we had so much hand smocking and beading and like all of these like intricate needlework skills that were like these are beautiful and they're gowns and they're
Yeah.
villainesses. We're like, come on, or even original because they were all our original designs. Nope,
And what
most
did you get?
humorous.
Most humorous. Okay, so in 2025, you're like what?
This year I'm like, let's go for it. I'm gonna make so many stupid puns and jokes
Okay.
because with the group that we had too, we had another newbie join us, and we're like, listen, this is a weird combination. Who would put Disney with Lord of the Rings? Like that is not something to expect. We got to play up the funny because we knew going in, we're like, this is like a fever dream. We know this is a weird combo. So we're
Yeah.
like, let's make the skit super funny and we'll actually go for that. And what's funny is my fiance Ryan, we made him be the Grand Duke. And even like before we went on stage, he's like, I don't get the joke. I don't think it's funny. And I'm like, listen, when you're on stage and you've got big shapes and characters and you're just clowning around, that's what makes it funny. And
Yeah.
then the second he walked on stage, he just walked on stage. The audience started laughing at his walk. He's like,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it
Yeah.
now. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how weird the thing is. If you're having fun and you're confident when you go on stage, the audience will have fun too. They'll get the weirdness eventually.
Yeah. I think one thing that you are really, really brilliant with is that, and I didn't realize this whole like audience psychology or whatever, but you get what audiences want. And
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of costume contests, and I talk a lot about like what is costume, like what is contest appropriate, not appropriate, but like contest worthy, and then what is like great in general. Like you can have a great costume, but if you put it on stage, you need to remember that there's other elements of it, right? You can't just be like, I have this beautiful costume and here I am on stage. Of course, you can still get some points, but I would feel like to take it up a notch in a contest, you have to think of all those other aspects of what appeals to the audience. So I think you do really well with that, because I know that when I was doing because I don't compete, but at Phoenix Fan Fusion, I ended up competing by myself. I can't remember why. I was like, all right, well, whatever. And I did my Moana, and I was like, I literally don't know what to do. And you just came up with this thing right away, and like, okay, and the crowd like loved it. Like you get like what crowds love. And that helps. Like, okay, like you can still go up there with, a skit and a great craftsman, and you can still be, get an award. But the fact that like the audience kind of takes it up that level, then the judges can feel like, okay, this is a great presentation, right?
Yes.
So overall, it's a great presentation. So I do have to applaud you for that. You do really well with that. Do you have something in the books coming up for another contest?
So right now I did
that you
just
want to
submit
share?
to enter the San Diego. Oops, I think we have a delay. Sorry. So I did just submit and I haven't been chosen yet for San Diego Comic-Con this summer. So I'm in a Cinderella mood, if you couldn't tell, because it's the 60th anniversary and so it's all over Disneyland, all over my like social media feed. So I've decided I'm going to do a Cinderella and her prince like formal wear attire, and like this is the fabric I'm making the prince's coat out of, and it's all like so shiny. And this was a $3 curtain at Goodwill. And there was
Okay.
enough fabric to make his whole like princely jacket. And I'm like, that's such a good deal. How could I not do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to that. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, but we will have some more PrueDuctions next Sunday. Again, if you guys are watching, I am so sorry for my connection issues. I've thrown Prue's Instagram in the chat, so keep an eye on what she's got going on. And then I will post another announcement for when our follow-up show is with Prue. So Prue, yeah, we can find you on Instagram. Guys, if you are watching Cost Talk Live, I will be posting our schedule. We used to stream every Sunday, but now that's changed. We've got a bunch of different shows. So keep an eye out for that. And again, please join us next Sunday for our follow-up with PrueDuctions cosplay. So thank you, Prue, for taking the time and being flexible. You know, technology, I thought I had it down, but I don't. And then everyone for watching, thank you so much. Please don't forget to check out our other shows and to tune back in next Sunday. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.